Hey, so welcome everybody. So as you know, Maximo, which is now Manage, one of the components in the application suite, is a collection of many different applications. Now you as a user perhaps have never seen the very long list of modules and applications that make up Maximo, which is now called Manage. So what we're going to do in this series is we're going to walk through each of the modules in the context of different areas of management, such as asset management, work management, purchasing, things like that. And so each part that we're going to do here will cover one of those areas. And we're going to look at all the modules and then the applications in each of the modules that are related to those. So going to be rather lengthy videos. I'll put a lot of bookmarks in there so you can keep track of where you're at. And let's get started. So let's begin with some organization here. So during the series, we're going to cover all of the blue squares, certainly starting with asset management and work management. And then we'll work our way into inventory and purchasing, and then we'll wrap it up with analysis module and the administration module. For this last video in this series, we're going to focus on the administrative applications that are all throughout Manage. So under the administration module, there are many applications. So we're going to have to move pretty quick to get through them in some reasonable amount of time. So here we go. First one of importance is organizations. This is where Manage gets divided up into multiple businesses. So if you have businesses across countries, different currency rates, you want to use different item and company sets, that sort of thing, then you'll divide Manage up into multiple organizations. The next one is sets. This is where you define your item sets that you'll use for inventory purposes and your company sets for your Rolodex for purchasing and things like that. Sets can be unique or shared to different organizations. The next application is calendars. Calendars are used throughout Manage for not only people but also assets and even locations as well. Calendars is also where shifts are defined. Next one is resources. Now resources has quite a long list of applications. These are very important applications to be aware of how to use. So this is where you would define people records, where you define groups of people, as well as define labor records for all of these people. Also qualifications for people, crafts, the different types of crafts that you may have at the organization, such as plumbers and welders and things like that. You also have crew types to define what the different types of crews you have are, of course, and then, of course, the actual crews as well. This is also where you identify work zones. This is where you also manage crews graphically as well. This is a jump over to the graphical applications, which we already talked about once. All right, moving on. Let's get into the bulletin board. So the bulletin board is where Manage administrators are able to create messages and post messages out on the bulletin board so users are able to see those messages out on their start centers. Next one down is communication templates. You're able to build templates for communication within Manage that can be used for a variety of purposes. So they are typically used in applications like service requests and work orders and things like that. So in conjunction perhaps with a log, you're actually able to send a very consistent communication message out to perhaps the requester on a service request, that sort of thing. They can also be used in workflows and such. So pretty powerful tool here. It does take a little bit of work to set them up and define the variables and things like that. Next on the list is report administration. This is where all of the reports that are built into the system, whether they are out of the box or whether they've been created using the BERT development tool, this is where the administrators would define who would have access to the reports, as well as some of the details about each of the reports. Next one is the Conditional Expression Manager. So conditional expressions are used in workflows and other areas of Manage, and this is where they would be created and, of course, managed. Next on the list is classifications. Classifications is a very large topic, but the idea here is that using classifications and attributes, you can use them on many records in Manage to not only group them for ease of searching, but also add information to the record that is perhaps outside fields that are already on the record. Classifications can be used for assets and locations and purchase requests, service requests, work orders. It's a rather long list of the different types of records that can be classified and have attributes added to them. The next application is CI types. This is where you define the different types of configuration items that are used to classify or group configuration items, such as computer systems or operating systems, that sort of thing. A bit of an offshoot of classifications. Next application is WorkView. So the WorkView application queries both the ticket and work order tables for an across the operation view of things. The next application is service address. So several records such as location and asset records can have references to specific addresses. This application is where they are managed. This is also where a latitude and longitude for the particular address can also be entered. And this leads us to our next application, which is the Map Manager. This is where you identify the particular map service that is being used for Manage, whether it is a spatial ArcGIS service or whether you're using something such as OpenMap. This is where these are all defined. And the next set of applications are KPIs. So the KPI Manager and the KPI templates is where you will define the different KPIs, their queries and their thresholds and such, and then the KPI Manager can be used to activate them, make changes to them, and view them, of course. And the Work Queue Manager, we've already talked about that in a previous video, but in essence, this is where you build the work queues that users are able to see the records that meet the criteria of the work queue, and then, of course, do things such as approving work orders, changing statuses, that sort of thing. Continuing on, we get down into Scheduler Administration. And underneath Scheduler Administration is quite a few different applications that are used to administrate the different pieces of the graphical scheduling application. Moving on is the Push Notification application. This is where if you are pushing information out to mobile users, you're able to define who those users are, who the provider of the push notification is. So again, this is for pushing information out to mobile users. Getting down to the end of the administration module here, we have AI configuration. In particular, if you're running Application Suite 9 or above, AI configuration is an important piece of all of this. And this is where you identify how the Manage is connected to the AI models and the AI service that IBM is providing. And lastly, as we mentioned, if you're using a map by way of the ArcGIS type service, so this is where you set up the different layers and the synchronization that is going to occur between the ArcGIS server and Manage. All right, just when you thought you had enough, let's get down into system configuration. So under platform configuration is a host of things that you need to be very adept at. Setting system properties, setting your logging levels, creating and updating domains, the pick list that users have access to. You can see your database configuration, what your tables look like. Application Designer, where you change the traditional applications as you wish. We already talked about COM templates. Here's where you define actions and roles and escalations for things like workflows. Here's your workflow designer and then administrating the workflows as well. Here's where you identify your cron tasks and make the changes to them so they perhaps run once a day or once an hour, that sort of thing. Any email listeners, if you're sending email into Maximo, your web services, launch in context, and then finally automation scripts, which are used for business rules and such. There's a lot there just under platform configuration. All right, moving on. Migration. If you are moving configurations from one system to the other, you will be using Migration Manager. Then we have Manage Monitoring Information. This is where you can actually see what the system is looking like as far as memory and CPUs and things like that running over in that Red Hat OpenShift environment. So this is a very interesting application here to dig into the specific versions and things like that about the instance of Application Suite. All right, moving on back to system configuration. And then finally, the new formulas application. This is where you can build formulas that you can use in tools such as Health and Monitor and other places actually within Manage as well. And just for fun, OMNI is a TRM product that we use to leverage Watson to provide information back to users, but that's not part of a default system. Alrighty, and not too far away as our next subject is security. So there's two applications in security. One is security group and the other is users. Security groups is where you define what users can see in Manage as well as what they can do within the applications that they can see. This is also where you set approval thresholds, you set the storerooms that a user is able to see, as well as the different labor records that they're able to manipulate. The users application gives you a view into the different users and their types and such that are on the managed system. Just a quick note here, though, is that users are provisioned at the MAS level, the application suite level, and then they're synchronized down to this user application. So back in the day, you used to be able to create users here. You don't do that anymore. That's now done at the application suite level. And the last administrative-like module to talk about is up here, is called integration. This is where you're able to see the object structures that, for example, the mobile applications interact with. And if you're pushing and pulling data from Manage to external systems, or the external systems are pushing information back to Manage, then you would be taking advantage of the external systems and endpoints and the publish channels and all these configurations to make that communication work. You also have message tracking and reprocessing here for the different queues in case you have messages that get stuck. And down here at the bottom, if you're interacting with the published API that Manage has, then you'll be able to construct keys down here so that the requests are able to log in properly to the Manage instance. And that's it for this video. There is a lot of administrative applications all throughout Manage, and hopefully that covered it, and let us know if we can be of any help.